Hello, YouTube family. I am Nancy Edwards, your real estate investor, author, and mentor. We have a special guest with us today, and his name is Ellis Tran. He is an account executive with Pad Splits, which is one of the finest ways that one can actually turn their single family home into a cash cow. So we'll start with Ellis. And before we get into it, I'd like to make this major introduction and I'll let Ellis introduce himself. Go ahead, Ellis.
Yeah, hey everybody. My name's Ellis. I'm the account executive at Pad Split. My role is very sales focused, but at the same time, I like to say that it's very customer success focused as well. My sole job is to help investors turn their single family properties into pad splits and to ensure their success on our platform. This is the fourth co-living company that I've been a part of. So I've been in this space for 5 or 6 years now, so very familiar with the product. But with Pad Split, it feels really nice to work in a company where we're actually helping renters secure housing who really need it. So we're in the affordable housing space, and it's a win-win-win for the investor, for the renter, for the cities where these homes and renters live. So I'm excited to talk with you today, Nancy.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for joining me. I know that you're quite busy, and I was very fortunate to be able to make your acquaintance here. And guys, my YouTube family, you're very fortunate as well. Wait till you hear this information. Okay, so let me ask you this, Ellis. What exactly is a pad split?
Yeah, a pad split is just like you said, another creative way to utilize your rental and really maximize the cash flow potential of it. I like to say it's the multifamily model in the single family asset. So in our model, we will recommend that the investor turn the common areas into additional bedrooms. So after the initial renovation, you're looking at the kitchen, the bedrooms, and the bathrooms. This is a great way to cash flow on the property because you're really utilizing previously underutilized spaces. Um, and it's just a great way to cash flow monthly.
Wonderful. Now, what if one has an actual, say, five-bedroom home? Would they need to convert those spaces? Is there like a minimum square footage that is required for a pad split?
Yeah, great question. We do have a 5 bedroom minimum post renovation. So at a bare minimum, usually that's a 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom starter, usually around 1,100 square feet. They will have living area, dining area. Those will convert into additional bedrooms pretty easily. But if the property is already at least a 5.2 and the investor doesn't want to do any additional renovations, that works with us as well. But again, you're kind of leaving money on the table if you don't convert the additional common areas into additional bedrooms.
Well, you know something, that's very interesting. You mentioned common areas being converted. That doesn't really give them a place to commune, which I guess is within your model.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, I've met several private rent by room operators already here in Arizona, where I'm based. And they say their renters actually don't use the common areas very much. So I think maybe it's a little bit of a social dynamic where unless they actually get along and are friends, you might feel a little bit awkward to be in the common area spaces. Um, and it's intentional in our model too, because there's no common area furniture that you have to provide. There's no areas to commune, like you said. So that'll kind of reduce the number of potential conflicts that might arise. There's no spaces to invite guests over, which is explicitly not allowed in our platform as well.
Wonderful. Okay, so what kind of brought on this concept of pad split?
Yeah, I mean, at the core of things, it's really to solve the affordable housing crisis. Our CEO, Atticus LeBlanc, I believe he had a couple of, you know, of a single family properties that he was doing for co-living and to really help the renters out who needed affordable housing. And he just did this on his own for a year or so. And then from there, he had the idea that he could scale this thing because in the US, there's a huge affordable housing crisis. I think the average rent just surpassed 2,000 a month. And so if you're earning, 30, 35, 40K a year, you really can't qualify for the traditional apartment. So again, it's a win-win-win for everybody that uses this model.
So what kind of criteria? What's the criteria for getting into a pad split for say someone in that tax bracket looking to rent something?
Yeah. Admittedly, the barrier to entry is intentionally low in our model. There's no credit check, but there is still the traditional background, income, and criminal checks. There's no security deposit in our model. Instead, they're just a one-time move-in fee set directly by the host. We recommend anything from $100 to $200. Again, that's just a one-time fee. So if somebody applies and they, submit everything they need to submit and they pass all of our qualifications, they can move in within 24 to 48 hours with a few bags.
Wow. So is this a bed rental model or a room rental model?
It's a room rental model. So they'll get a full room to themselves. It's got to be at least 80 square feet. That's according to HUD, the Housing Urban Development. But I like to say anything 100 square feet and above works a lot better. The more comfortable the member is, the tenant, we call them members in our model, the longer they'll stay, the more consistent cash flow the investor will get. All the rooms are single occupancy, at least a full bed. There's a maximum bedroom to bathroom ratio in the homes of 4:1. So, they're all set up. All the furniture is included in the bedrooms themselves. All the utilities are included with their weekly payments. So it's really a nice, convenient, affordable housing option.
So there's an expense to the homeowner initially when setting it up, obviously to furnish with beds, but it doesn't have to be anything elaborate, correct?
Yeah, nothing elaborate. Yeah, so the two upfront costs for the investor are the renovations, if applicable, to reach that 5-bedroom minimum. And then there's the furnishing costs for the bedrooms themselves. We will actually provide you a list of furniture and furnishing pieces to buy. It's about $1,000 per month if you follow what we recommend.
So $1,000 per room
Oh,
or
sorry, $1,000 per room. That's right. Yeah.
okay, so $1,000 per room. So if one were able, okay, like let's assume with some of my audience members, they actually can't afford to set up a pad split at $1,000 per room, and they may not be able to afford the renovation. Is it possible for someone to actually set up a pad split um, outside of those parameters, including and being included in your model? I mean, with your management, because I know that you guys do professionally manage it. And so the homeowners don't have to worry about anything. You're performing all of those checks and all of that. Now I know that you have your model, but can someone that is really struggling but does have a property and is willing to grow and say they only have a 3-1 or a 3-2 even, and not a 5-bedroom, would they be able to get into your membership program?
Yeah, good question. We are looking to grow quite rapidly, so there might be some exceptions made, especially if the property fits our buy box. This means it's a non-HOA property, close to public transport, close to work centers. It should have ample parking in mind. Usually we're talking, our ideal neighborhood is a Class C neighborhood, affordable housing at the end of the day. So we want these renters to be in areas where, they already live and work. As far as the furniture goes, yeah, we recommend pretty cost-effective furniture, but there's also more creative ways to furnish bedrooms for less. We have some hosts that are in touch with hotel liquidation companies to get, pretty sturdy quality furniture. It might have a nick or two on it from hotels for very cheap. I have one host who was able to furnish a bedroom for about $530, with the most expensive thing being the
Mattress, I would imagine.
no, the electronic Wi-Fi door lock, which was I think 130.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and that's only about 100 and something bucks.
Exactly. So he did a good job, and we
Okay.
got big dressers for $35, a nightstand for $20. So there's creative ways to do it. But so there's some exceptions that can be made and some creative ways to get around it as
Wonderful. Because I know, like, my cousin is actually she's a, what do you call that when you go out? My brain is freezing right now. Yard sale.
well.
She is a yard sale junkie, and she's
Yes.
so good at it. She actually goes out on yard sales, brings stuff back, and sell them in her own yard sale. That's how creative she is.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to get some good furniture as well. Facebook
Yes.
Marketplace, OfferUp. And if there's a lot of Airbnbs that are kind of trying to get out of the game, so they might have some.
Liquidate.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so that's wonderful because that opens the door up to a lot of different members of my audience. Now, you did mention something here. You said that you had a membership
hmm
set up rather than leasing.
hmm
So how does that work?
Yeah. So ideally, the investor would create an LLC for the property. That LLC would rent the property out to Pad Splits LLC, and so that insulates the investor in case of any issues that might arise. And in our model, anybody who signs up or moves into the room is considered a member, not a tenant. They're signing a membership agreement and not a lease. But the membership agreement will actually have most things that you find on a typical lease. But this structure is intentional, and it's because a lot of the different municipalities have a maximum number of unrelated occupants allowed in a single family property. They usually don't define what it means to be related. So we're definitely taking advantage of that. We're in the gray technically, but in our definition of it, everybody is related under this membership agreement. So that's how we get around
That's
that.
wonderful. That's ingenious, actually. You guys
Yeah.
have come up with something really good there. And
Yeah.
it does insulate the homeowner because you guys are actually responsible, not the individuals, because they're part of a membership profile. Well, not profile, but they're a membership group that you actually manage.
Yeah, and this is the fourth co-living company that I worked for, and the previous three have used the same structure, so it should be sound.
Wonderful. Okay, so I think we've answered the question of how a pad split benefits the homeowner, but how does it benefit the occupant? Are there other benefits to the occupant other than having that low barrier of entry? Do you provide other services for the occupants?
Yeah, we do actually. There's free telemedicine services and employment services once they become a pad split member. From what we've seen, for whatever reason, it's a little bit underutilized, but it is available to them. When they pay rent on time, it can increase their credit score, which is great, especially if you don't have a great credit score to begin with, and you can't really build it up by living in a traditional apartment. So this is a great way to, build your credit and financial situation with us. When the renters pay rent, it's weekly. So, a lot of our renters are hourly workers, so their paydays might be, scattered throughout the week. So they get to choose the exact day they want to pay rent. And then from there, it's a weekly or bi-weekly cadence based off of their preference. But it's weekly, usually. And that just keeps them accountable, keeps them paying rent on time. And as a result, we have a collections rate of about 95%, which is really high for the industry.
Wow, that's really good. So not to throw shade on Airbnb because that's actually part of this video. That's one of the four, which is vacation rental. And obviously, vacation rentals are still working very well. But how does Pad Split compare to vacation rental in terms of income and stability?
Yeah, I think it should be pretty similar, but more consistent throughout the year. I'm based in Arizona, and the summers are usually dead. So yeah, with our model, it's a little bit more consistent. The average stay for a typical pad split member in Atlanta is about a year and a half. So definitely long term. That's, I think, mostly due to the fact that we've been established there since 2018. We're at about 5,000 beds there now. So brand recognition is established in Atlanta. Other differences, I think there's less operational needs for a pad split because people are staying a little bit longer. The type of clientele is a little bit more grateful versus the vacation crowd that might be a little bit more impacted here. Um,
Right.
I know a lot of cities are cracking down on short-term rental. New York just passed something. Dallas previously had something happen there. And Airbnb is just depending on what city, it's oversaturated. So in Arizona, I think there's about 20,000 Airbnb hosts. So if you got into the Airbnb game early, you're doing well as a super host. But if you got in a little bit late, you're competing against the super hosts.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And when I get into the Airbnb or vacation rental model, I am going to speak to the audience about ways to get around some of those things. And one of the ways could potentially be, hey, team up with your group and go into a pad split.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's really good, Ellis. I'm really excited about it. You and I obviously are going to be working together to convert one of my units into a pad split, and I'm happy to do that. So now let me ask this last question because I know that your time is extremely valuable. Why would you recommend a pad split over a traditional rental? Because it's about the same time in terms of rental space. So if your average renter is there for a year, why would you recommend a pad split?
Yeah, I mean, besides the social mission of helping to solve the affordable crisis, it's really just a numbers game. You're just making 2 to 3x with our model compared to the long-term model. Um,
Wonderful.
Granted, there are more operational expenses monthly, like the utilities are paid for by the host. But at the end, still you're netting 2 to 3x more with our model.
Yeah, so 2 to 3 times more than you would. So if someone were renting traditionally at $1,000 a month, they're like $1,000 a room or
Dep-
some thereabout.
Yeah, depending on the market. In Arizona, we're at about 940 per month per room. In Atlanta, I think it's about 780 per room.
Okay.
So, with a few rooms, you're covering the long-term rental income potentially. And if you can, a typical pad split has about 7 bedrooms in it. So it's just simple math at the end of the day.
Right. So, I mean, but exponentially, that's seven. So, but if someone were looking to pad split, like we talked about earlier, a 2 bedroom or 3 bedroom, sure, that's the same concept. They're getting more per room than they would. But obviously, the more rooms, the better. But if the average in Atlanta is $700, you said for a 1 bedroom, so a two, you're only really netting around 14, and then you have your expenses. So with those numbers, it doesn't make as much sense. Maybe the Airbnb model makes more sense. But if you have the larger properties or you're able to convert, as you mentioned, those common areas into extra bedrooms, then obviously it makes more sense. And can we speak to the conversion piece one quick second before we go? Are those walls permanent or can they be taken down when it's time to sell the home? Because most persons who buy homes want a home with common areas. But for a business model, obviously that works to remove it. So are we talking permanent walls or temporary walls? What are we talking?
Yeah, good question. It depends on the type of GC that you use. I actually just learned about temporary pressurized walls that don't drill into the floor
Yeah.
or the ceiling, so they're easily removable. Um, but usually, most of the contractors that we use do the permanent method. So really, they're drilling into the hole, into the floors, putting up studs, drywall, paint. So it's when done right, it looks like it was part of the original floor plan. We just want to make sure the person living in the room feels like it's an actual room. They're not curtains that are put up or sliding doors or anything.
Right. We're not slumlording pad splits.
Definitely not. And if you want to see the quality of the pad splits that we kind of require and highly recommend, you can go to our website and check out the listings. You'll be able to see the pictures of the current pad splits that are live there.
And what is your website?
Just padsplit.com. Yeah, very straightforward. I think there's a find a room tab. You'll be able to search by the region that you're looking in.
Perfect. So I am a contractor and an investor, as you know, and I do have my own crew that actually does all of my work. But we would, in some instances, in some properties, as we're converting with you, we will convert those common area spaces, but do it from a temporary wall model, which is why I asked. But it's good, guys, because listen, YouTube family, they provide everything. And I mean, everything. What do you provide, Ellis? If someone, I have Joe Blow next door, he wants to convert to a pad split, he doesn't know anything about anything. How can you help him?
Yeah, very straightforward. So from our value proposition side, we have the playbooks to guide the investor through the renovation phase. So you can share that with your GC to kind of have them build to spec. We have certain minimums for the rooms and certain things that we require in the property. We have the furnishing guides to really just give you an idea of what to buy if you didn't want to put too much thought into it. There's the onboarding and listing guides as well for when your property is ready. You'll create the listing for your property on our website. We have a vendor network. So we have realtors, property managers, general contractors, lenders that understand our business model. They've tweaked their business offering to be friendly to us. And then we have all the data that we track. So we track everything from average rates to occupancy, time to fill, time to rebook. So we'll share that with you as well to give you the really good idea of what to expect from your property.
Wonderful. So basically, I can say, Ellis, I'd like to turn my property into a pad split. I'm novice. I just need you to do it, take it over, and I want to sit back and wait for the money, the cha-ching. Can I do that?
Mostly, yes. I should clarify. So we do 75% of the property management. I like to say we do the people management side of it. So we'll market all the bedrooms, we'll screen all the applicants. Once they're in, they're considered a member. We'll collect rent from them weekly, and then we'll manage any conflict that might arise between the members living in the pad split. And so that leaves the physical side of property management to be done either by the host or another property manager that they hire. And this is really the, tending to the maintenance requests that are submitted through our software, cleaning once a month at least, landscaping, stuff like that. So the actual,
That's nothing. That's
it's
nothing. So you handle the big parts. All right. So all I have to do is make sure the place is clean, cut the grass, and if something goes wrong, send somebody over there to fix it. But you handle everything else.
mostly, yes. And if in the rare case of evictions, we'll kind of talk to the offending member throughout that process, give them an easy way out, a hard way out. Usually that works, but sometimes in any rental situation, you'll get some bad apples. If that happens, it'll ultimately fall on the host to call the sheriff or file the eviction. But we'll support you throughout that entire process as well.
How often does that happen? And I wouldn't imagine that it happens often in this environment, but how often, just so that, the person who is a real newbie at this won't think, oh my God, if I do a pad split, then I'm going to have somebody, squat on me or something like that. How often would you say?
3%. So out of we've crossed the 8,000 bedroom threshold across all of the 13 markets that we're in. It happens to 3% of those rooms.
3%. And typically, how long does it take to get out in certain areas? Because I know, like Georgia, which is your stronger market, they'll kick somebody out in 7 days.
Yeah, it's market dependent. Yeah, so the previous companies that I've worked for were based in California, and it's very tenant friendly there. That process could take 8 to 12, maybe even longer weeks. So in most of the markets that we're in right now, it's a lot sooner than that.
Wonderful. Where are your stronger markets right now?
Atlanta's the biggest. We have a big presence in Florida, Tampa, Jacksonville, and then Houston and Dallas currently. But in Arizona, we were the first market to hit 100 live bedrooms. We're on track to reach 250 by the end of the year, which would set a company record. So
Wonderful. Okay, so what advice would you give someone wanting to do a pad split?
yeah, get in touch with me. If you already have a property that you're renting out, talk to me. I'll evaluate it on your behalf free of charge. We, as a company, don't get paid until we help you collect your rent. Everything before that is just a consultative service at no cost to you. I'll send you a letter of intent if you want to move forward. Once that's submitted, I'll send over all the guides that we have for the different phases that we talked about. I'll connect you with vendors if you need, general contractors, property managers. So I'll work hand in hand with the investor throughout that process. If you don't have a property, I can put you in touch with a realtor or a firm that we're using actually based in Atlanta. They'll present deals to the investor, run numbers on it in terms of potential return, renovate it as well. They have an in-house crew. And so they kind of deliver you a turnkey pad split. And then if you need help with furnishings, the furnishing side of the process, we have another vendor for that. So even if you're out of state or if you just want to be hands off in general, we have all the resources for you.
Wonderful. Would you please tell my beautiful YouTube family how to get in touch with you?
Absolutely. It's very simple. Shoot me an email, ellis@padsplit.com, ELLIS at padsplit.com. And then maybe I can actually share my booking link as well to be added onto the video description. That'll be a great way to schedule something with me directly.
Wonderful. So yes, please send me your booking link and I'll place it down for all of you guys who are interested in a pad split. So you can just book an appointment with Ellis and he can take it from there. Pad splits are a wonderful way to capitalize on a single family residence. And so I would suggest all of you who are interested in doing a little bit more and making a little bit more to please get in touch with Ellis. Meantime, I'm going to thank you, Ellis, for joining us today. It was wonderful to have you. And I need to talk about the other 3 ways. One is the next coming up is crash pads. And can I tell you, it's similar to a pad split only for airline personnel. So we'll get right into that. Thank you so much, Ellis. And again, catch his link in the description and padsplit.com and Ellis at padsplit.com, correct?
Yeah, correct.
All right. Thank you so much, Ellis. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.